Someone, nearly 5,000 years ago, carved these symbols into stone. They were not random scratches. They appear again and again across the ruins of one of the ancient world's greatest civilizations. And yet, after generations of archaeologists and linguists, we still cannot reliably read them. This is the mystery of the Indus script. And the strangest part isn't that the civilization disappeared. It's that it left behind thousands of messages, but almost no voice we can understand. At its height, the Indus or Harappan civilization stretched across an enormous part of South Asia. Cities such as Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Dholavira, and Lothal reveal an urban society capable of sophisticated construction, trade, and organization. Then there are the seals, tiny objects, often carved with animals and symbols. The most famous creature is the mysterious so-called unicorn, an animal appearing repeatedly on Indus seals. Above it, there might be several strange signs, a few symbols, perhaps a name, a title, a religious statement, a transaction. We don't know. And that's where the mystery becomes extraordinary. The Indus script contains hundreds of distinct signs, although scholars disagree about exactly how many represent separate signs and how many are variants or combinations. Researchers have identified thousands of inscriptions, but most are painfully short, often only a handful of signs. The longest examples are still nowhere near the lengthy texts that helped scholars decipher Egyptian hieroglyphs or cuneiform. And there is another problem. We don't have a bilingual inscription, an ancient text written in the Indus script alongside a known language that could provide the equivalent of a Rosetta Stone. Without that key, every symbol becomes a puzzle, and every proposed translation has to survive the same question: how do we know? Some researchers have argued that the script represents an early Dravidian language. Others have proposed different linguistic connections. There have also been attempts to identify patterns through statistics and computer analysis. Some studies suggest the signs follow structured rules rather than appearing randomly. But that still doesn't give us a universally accepted translation. And this distinction matters. A researcher may identify a pattern without knowing what the words actually mean. A possible reading is not the same thing as a decipherment. So perhaps the real question isn't, can we translate one symbol? It's much bigger. What was this writing actually used for? Seals may have helped identify people, goods, authority, or institutions. The archaeological context tells us that these inscriptions had meaning. But without being able to read them, we cannot confidently name the rulers of the civilization. We cannot confidently identify their language. We cannot read their own account of their religion. And we cannot simply open an ancient document and ask them what happened. This creates an extraordinary silence. We know these people built cities. We know they traded across enormous distances. We know they produced standardized objects and developed complex urban systems. But when we ask them who they were, their written symbols fall silent. There is one more reason this mystery may be so difficult. The surviving inscriptions are mostly found on durable objects, such as seals, pottery, and other small items. If longer records were written on materials such as cloth or palm leaves, those materials could have disappeared over thousands of years. That possibility remains unproven. But if it happened, we may be missing the very texts that could have made decipherment possible. And that leaves us with an uncomfortable possibility. Perhaps the key to the Indus script was once abundant, and time simply destroyed it. Today, scholars continue to study the signs, their frequency, their positions, and the archaeological contexts in which they appear. New catalogs and analytical methods have expanded the evidence available for research. But no universally accepted decipherment has emerged. So what do we actually know? We know the inscriptions are ancient. We know they occur across the Harappan world. We know the signs are patterned. We know they were meaningful, but we still don't know, with confidence, what language they encode, or exactly what most of the messages say. And perhaps that's what makes the mystery so powerful. The people of the Indus civilization weren't necessarily silent. They may have been writing constantly. They may have recorded names, possessions, rituals, trade, authority, and beliefs. The problem is that we arrived thousands of years too late to understand them. Somewhere among these tiny symbols could be the name of a ruler, a forgotten god, a city, a merchant, or simply the name of an ordinary person who expected someone else to understand. We may never know. But the message is still here, waiting. And until the code is broken, one of the world's great civilizations remains partly hidden behind a language we can see, but cannot yet hear.